Hello. In my readings this week in our New Testament Immersed Bibles, in Paul's letter to the Colossians, I stumbled across another hidden treasure, a treasure trove actually. It's the Greek word panta, translated into English as the phrase all things, sometimes also translated everything. This word shows up multiple times in Colossians 1, verses 15 to 20, and the root of this word, pan, meaning all or everything, shows up a couple of more times as well. Let me read this passage. The Son is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For in him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities. All things have been created through him and for him. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. And he is the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning and the firstborn from among the dead, so that in everything he might have the supremacy. For God was pleased to have all his fullness dwell in him, through him to reconcile to himself all things, whether things on earth or things in heaven, by making peace through his blood shed on the cross. Colossians 1, verses 15 to 20. This is one of the great Christ songs in the New Testament. The same Greek word found repeated in this passage, the word panta, translated in the NIV as all things, is repeated numerous times in two of the other great Christ psalms in the New Testament, including John 1 and also Hebrews 1. In Colossians 1, verses 15 to 20, let's pay attention to what Paul is asserting about Jesus in this song, in this paragraph related to this hidden treasure, panta, all things. First of all, Jesus is the firstborn over the entire universe, over all creation. Firstborn is a title of honor, meaning the one who is supreme or master, the primary authority over everything in creation. Second, in Jesus, all things, panta, all things were created. That is an all-inclusive, including every molecule, every galaxy, every person. Nothing is excluded in this all things. Jesus made them all. In him, all things were created. Number three, this truth about Jesus creating all things is repeated in the phrase, all things have been created through him and for him, with this additional insight that not only is the entire universe made through Jesus, it is made for him. Our ultimate purpose is to live for Jesus. The entirety of creation is directed to exist for Jesus. Fourth, Jesus is before all things. Jesus pre-exists the universe. This is one of numerous bold statements in the New Testament about the eternal nature of Jesus' very being. Fifth, in Jesus, all things hold together. In your understanding, what holds the universe together? In the Bible's understanding, Jesus holds all things together, including solar systems and our very lives. Your life, my life. Jesus holds us together. He coheres our lives together. We do not fall apart because the love of God expressed personally in Jesus is holding our lives together. Sixth, in everything, Jesus has the supremacy. Jesus is over all things, the true master of the entire universe, supreme over every human authority, over every atom, over every distant star. Seventh, God was pleased to have all God's fullness dwell in Jesus from eternity, as well as dwelling in Jesus as Jesus was walking upon this earth in human form. And finally, through Jesus, God reconciles all things, panta, all things, to himself. The work of fixing broken things is God's beautiful work. God fixes broken relationships across the universe. fixes our broken hearts when our hearts are hurting and broken. That is done by God through Jesus. All things are able to be reconciled through Jesus. And if you have a broken heart, God is able to work there through Jesus to heal you and to renew your life. If you have a broken relationship, God is able to bring reconciliation through the completed work of Jesus. Jesus is the great reconciler. He does this amazing work of reconciliation, making peace through his blood shed on the cross. That's why we put this symbol up in our Christian churches, because it is a symbol of wholeness, of God putting back together what was broken. We tend to compartmentalize life, putting everything and all things in different separate little boxes and categories. And that's understandable and normal to some degree, but too often those boxes do not include God. They do not include Jesus. Millions of people living today remove God from all of their boxes, or perhaps try to just put God into one little box, maybe like the religious box, the Sunday morning box. But God doesn't fit just into that box. God spills over and flows out into all things. Think of it this way. Think of the containers in your refrigerator. They are designed to keep things separated, to keep the fruit salad from being ruined by the pesto sauce that you had leftovers from last night's dinner. But all things in the refrigerator are permeated by the coolness of the refrigeration. The temperature of a fridge is designed to touch all things. In the same way, Jesus delights to permeate, to touch all things in our lives, moving through the walls and the containers that we put up, quietly, lovingly, touching every part of our life, even when we're unaware of his presence. As Paul writes later in the same letter to the Colossians, so then set your hearts on things above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. That's Colossians 3, verses 1 and 2. So let's this fall keep refocusing our hearts and our minds on Jesus, who alone in all the universe holds all things together in our lives. Amen. God bless you all.